Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining me at the table for Testimony Tuesday. Tonight I have with me Jim Brehm. Jim is a resident of Bel Air. I believe you have lifetime resident of Bel Air. Has come tonight to just have a conversation with me. I actually, I always ask the question, what has God done for you in your life? And Jim's answer pretty much was, my life. So we're just going to talk a little bit tonight and let you get to know Jim a little bit. And we're going to kind of talk about how we got to know each other and when I came to Bel Air. And we'll go from there, see how things go. And I forgot I got to shut this because if somebody walks in there, we're going to get distracted. So we're going to start over.
All right. Well,
that's all right.
That one doesn't go back any further.
So now we got one for the bloopers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always shut this on Mondays when I record because people come walking in here. You'll hear doors slam.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's try this again.
Stopwatch.
Thank you. Come on.
There we go.
All right, we'll go ahead and just get started here. Looks okay. Wait a minute. All right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining me at the table for Testimony Tuesday. I have with me tonight Jim Brehm. Jim is a member of the Bel Air First United Methodist Church and a lifelong resident of Bel Air. Is that correct?
Yes. Grew up on Brooks Run.
Grew up on Brooks Run. So Jim and I are just going to have a little conversation tonight, and we wanted you to join in with us. So Jim, thanks for joining me tonight. It's a pleasure to see you.
Good to be here.
I'm really glad to have you. Now, let's talk a little bit about how we met. How's that sound?
That's fine.
Okay. So I came here in the summer of 2015, I think it was. Yep. Okay. And believe the first time we met was at the SPRC meeting, and it was probably sometime in May, was it, I'm thinking?
Yeah, it was.
Or April, maybe, or?
I think right around the 1st of May.
Okay, right around 1st of May. Okay. All right. So Jim was, were you actually the chairperson?
I was the chairperson of the SPRC. For those of you that aren't Methodist, that's the committee that hires and fires pastors, for lack of better things.
How many have you fired before?
Actually, I have probably been on every committee that the Methodist Church has.
Okay.
And I had always avoided that particular committee.
Okay.
And one of the saints of this church, John Nicodemus, had passed away, and he asked me if I would fill his
so that's how you got
term. So I said, well, yeah, I mean, it's only another year, so I can do that.
Okay, okay.
So I agreed to be on that committee, and then the person that was the chairman had family and job and couldn't keep up with everything that was, all the meetings and everything, so then I ended up being the chairman.
Okay, okay. I do remember that now, yes, because when I actually came to the meeting, there was a different chairperson, and then it was you. Yeah. I remember that now. Okay. So anyway, I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about that night, because it's kind of interesting how God brought me here, but I personally have not heard, and I'm not sure if you're even allowed to share. If you're not allowed to share, you can just tell me. But I've never heard the other side of the story, what they thought about me. But, Jim and I were talking before the show started, and it's something that we decided we would talk about. So, I got to tell you, I came in here, for me it was a done deal, because I figured I had been in the Methodist Church long enough that I know if you're getting to the SPRC meeting, you're getting put in there.
You're pretty much there. Yes.
So you want to share a little bit, whatever you can.
But we still had to meet and discuss. I mean, we met you. You said hi.
Yeah.
The DS basically read your resume to us.
Yeah.
Told us where you had been and what you had done, and we went around and shook hands. And when I shook hands with you, and I mean, this is obviously God.
Yeah.
But God said to me that just the word foundation. Just simply the word foundation.
Okay.
And so I thought, well, I don't know what that means, but obviously this is the guy, you know. And like you said, I mean, we're pretty sure we're going to get you anyway, but if someone had thrown a fit, the DS might have gone the other way.
Well, and I've seen that happen.
Yes.
Actually. I have seen that happen one time.
I got to back up a little bit. We were transitioning. This is the first time in this church's history that we did not have a full-time pastor.
That's right. That's right.
So after you walked out and, you know, you're asked to go sit downstairs and play with the felt chalkboards or whatever and keep yourself entertained while we talk about you up here. And
I actually went out and called Tanya and said, I think they like me.
And most of the conversation was around, like, okay, is he going to be able to do this? Is he going to be able to do that? You know, will he be available for this? Will he be available for that? And we were like, okay, no, he is not going to be available to do all that because he is a part-time pastor.
Right.
But a lot of the people who had, you know, each individual person at the table has their own thought of what that pastor ought to be.
Yeah.
You know, well, visitation is a key thing. Well, you know, we just need somebody to preach a sermon because we can't afford anything else.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody had their, and we kicked all those things around. And I actually did bring up, I said, I really feel that this is the right man for the job. And I said, I believe he's here, and this is probably where I spoke. I should have just listened to God and kept my mouth shut. But I spoke and said, I believe he's here to help build a solid foundation in this church. Well, needless to say, as I have learned so many times when I speak like that, Jesus Christ is the foundation of our church. You know, and
sure, which I totally agree with you.
Which
and I mean, I don't think anybody would.
They were absolutely right. But in my mind, and I'm mulling this stuff over, and I'm thinking, okay, yes, Jesus Christ is the foundation of our church, but we've got a few cracks.
Yeah.
We well, and then it turned out literally we had a few cracks. But you know, we're talking, and there was the one segment of the church that was just concerned with the fact that we didn't have enough money to continue. You know, how are we going to exist if we can't pay the bills?
Yeah.
But then there was other, you know, and we'd had good people, but not great pastors prior to you.
Okay.
I mean, excellent people, but came from different backgrounds with different agendas, and
could we say maybe just not a good fit?
And yes, not a good fit.
Yeah.
Not a good fit.
Not a good fit.
I mean, they could have been perfect somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
You know.
Right.
But it was just one of those situations where, you know, I really feel like our foundation was a little bit this way and a little bit that way. Mm-hmm. Not that Jesus Christ wasn't there.
Oh, absolutely.
But we were putting other things, we were building those other priorities.
Sure.
So the more I thought about it, the more convinced I was that you were the right guy. And then, obviously, after that, we, you know, when it came down to a vote, everyone liked you.
Okay.
And everyone was sure. There were some people that commented that, well, he's been to a lot of churches. He's got like 4 or 5 churches on his resume. How come he, you know, and one of them wasn't even a Methodist church.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
We had that and just some of those conversations, which, yes, no, I'm not allowed to talk about those, but I
understand.
I think the statute of limitations has run out.
Okay, probably, yeah.
You know, when you're one pastor away, you're okay to. But,
well, can I address one of those?
Sure, yeah, please.
The reason I have been to a lot of churches, and this, you kind of blew me away when you said foundation. What I believe God has done with me is He would take me to a place for 2 or 3 years to firm up the foundation, and I'd move on. And that's what He told me. And it's exactly what happened. When I first started, I was at that place for 3 years. Then the next one, 4 years. And then I took a little bit of a break, and I was not like officially a pastor. But then when I was back in the church, it was 3 years again. And how long was I here? 3 years. And out at Brooks Run, 3 years. So it's always 3 to 4 years, and that's just the way God has used me. And as a part-time pastor, you're going to see that a lot. Part-time pastors in this area especially do move around a lot.
Yes.
Unlike elders who might be there for 8 to 10 years or more, you're going to see a lot of movement as a part-time. So, I mean, and it doesn't bother me. I just wanted for others to know, if you happen to be in a church where, you see a pastor who's only got 3 or 4 years, say, that's probably what God's doing then.
Well, and through the time you were here, and when you went to Brooks Run, because like I said, I grew up on Brooks Run. I was saved at West Blair.
Okay.
A long time ago.
Right.
Because I went there until late 70s.
Okay.
Maybe later than that. No, it would have been into the 80s, because it was when my kids were a little older, and there was more youth things in here.
Okay. That's what brought you here?
Yeah, mainly.
Okay.
We can talk about that in a minute.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And you going out there and knowing all those people and the things that, everything I've seen and everything God's told me about what you've done has been about foundation building.
Yeah.
And I've seen that all along. I think I mentioned one time I wanted to tell you something, and I don't think we ever sat down and talked about it, but that was what I
Oh, okay. I remember you saying that, yeah.
Just that, because I think I saw you had posted something about foundations.
Yeah,
and I thought, this is so much, God's telling me you're doing what He wants you to do.
Yeah.
Because naturally, when you left, and I think everybody liked Ian, but even then it was like, well, why is Pastor Phil leaving? Why is he going out there?
Yeah.
That's a little church. We pay better than they do. Why doesn't Pastor Ian go out there? And why did And
oh, we could talk about that too.
Well, yeah. There are a lot of things.
There's some spiritual stuff going on there.
Yes.
We could talk about. But anyway, go ahead.
But that's mainly it on that front. But,
okay.
But yeah, I was definitely your name and foundation through the whole time you were here. That was just something that I went hand in hand for me.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you something about what you said that night we had that meeting that really stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was good. I'm not from around this area. I grew up in Ashtabula, Ohio, up on Lake Erie.
Yep.
I moved to the Ohio Valley in 1999, the day of the flood. 1996, the day of the flood in January 1996. Mm-hmm. Roughly, however many years ago that was, 14. Because it was right around this time, towards the end of January.
It was the end of
when we moved in here. We moved to Tiltonsville. But anyway, I didn't know anything about Blair. I didn't know about Martins Ferry. I didn't know about the rivalry. I didn't know about all this stuff. But through the course of time, my kids ended up going to Martins Ferry High School, and there's a big rivalry.
Yes, there is.
And of course, I heard all the stuff about how bad Blair is, and didn't mean anything to me because I wasn't part of that rivalry. I didn't care. But when I was so confident that I was coming to Blair because I believed God told me I was coming to Blair. Okay, before the district superintendent even told me, and when I told the church that I was at that I'm going to be leaving them, and it was not a Methodist church, it was an evangelical French church, but when I told them that I was going back to the Methodist church, I said, I really think God has plans for me in the Methodist church, and I didn't know what it was. And, okay, where are you going? I said, Blair. Oh, you don't want to go there. You got to take a gun with you? It's worse than Steubenville. And I'm like, what do you mean? First of all, I go to Steubenville without a gun too. I just didn't get caught up in all that,
right.
the stereotypes about Blair and everything. And when I came here, I believe I mentioned something about that I don't care about what people say about it. And I said, this is your town, it's going to be my town, and we're going to make the best of it. And you actually said, I can't remember exactly how you said it, but you said you were looking for someone that wasn't going to come in here and start, saying all kinds of bad things about Blair, how Blair's falling apart. You want to have pride in your hometown. And I said, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? And look what's happening in Blair now.
It's changing. It is changing.
It is really changing. I love when I drive down the street and I see either a building's been painted or a new business has opened up.
Businesses,
Yeah, and And look what Ricky and Brian are doing out in the community.
Yeah.
That is great. If you guys are watching, and I know you do watch, keep it up. You guys are doing great.
Oh, yeah. The stuff they're doing, promoting the local businesses, and that, it's wonderful.
It is absolutely.
Because we've got a lot of people that are making a difference in town.
Yes, yes. And the hometown I grew up in, Ashtabula, very comparable to Belair as far as the size, and they're a little bit downtrodden right now as well, and trying to make a comeback. So this was a perfect fit for me, and I didn't come in here saying I'm going to carry a gun into the church and get an armed guard to take me to my car in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I was getting so angry when people would tell me stuff like that. But when you said that, it just made me feel good, and I said, this is the right fit.
Well, that's good. That's
good.
Good.
I knew it was the right fit because I knew God didn't believe that stuff. I didn't believe that stuff, and to hear that you didn't believe that stuff, that was pretty good. So I was really happy about that. So you've pretty much known God your whole life, haven't you?
Yes. I was committed my life to Christ at 14.
14, okay.
We had a pastor that Reverend Hudson. For anyone old enough to remember Reverend Hudson, he was a saint. He was fire and brimstone from the pulpit.
Is that right? Okay.
But I never met a man that led a life of grace any more than he did.
Yeah.
It was just like he could stand up there and pound on the pulpit and tell you must be born again.
Mm-hmm.
And then give you a big hug, no matter what. You did who you were, where you were from, it didn't matter. He loved everyone.
That's wonderful.
Which to me, because I almost feel like a lot of the aggressive pastors now also have to preach against this and against that and against this, and all the terrible things. No, we know things are wrong. But let's let Jesus handle that.
Absolutely, thank you.
Like, can't we just like one another and get along?
Yes.
And if Jesus has to sort it out at the end, and so be it. But
yeah, exactly.
But someone asked me not too long ago. Once in a while I get these leading Christian questions. Because everybody pretty much knows I'm the guy, the work that goes to church.
Yeah,
maybe the guy, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I'll get these questions. And, well, what do you think God would have done about, or Jesus would have done about, and I don't want to even go into any particular thing, but,
Sure.
I think he probably would have said, let's go have dinner and talk about it.
Absolutely.
I don't care what it is. Let's go have dinner and we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
I don't think he would have... I don't think we would have had to have debates on the floors of the Senate to make decisions. And
and earlier you said that someone said Jesus Christ is the foundation of the church.
Yes,
and that is true. Mm-hmm. Then why don't we treat him like that?
We don't.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Because he meets us right where we are. Yeah. And I saw something on Facebook one time where this little girl was being taught by a Sunday school teacher and she cussed. Mm-hmm. And then the teacher said why you shouldn't cuss, and Jesus doesn't like that, and the girl says, but Jesus does love me. And it kind of took the Sunday school teacher back a little bit, because yes, Jesus beat you. Okay, we have to, if people are cussing, we have to accept that and say, not accept it as it's okay, but accept the people.
Right.
Because that's what God does. Absolutely. He meets them right where they are. He'll work on that. It's not our job to work on that.
No.
It's his job. We tell them about Jesus, and then he works on it after they come to Jesus.
Yes, absolutely. Let him deal with it.
Absolutely.
He'll tell them what they need to change when they need to change it.
Right.
But, it shouldn't be for us to decide. And I'm prejudiced. I like this church.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of religion. But that could be a discussion for another day.
And it will
be. But
we will discuss that at the table this season.
But I think this church is great. Even when we were going through some struggles, I think this church is friendly. I think that, but with you being here, with Ian being the pastor, new people that have come in that are just added to the friendliness and the joy at this church, I think it's a great place to be.
I do too.
And I think we are accepting.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
I'm not sure. We'll probably get in trouble with some folks, but 10 or 15 years ago, I'm not sure we were as accepting.
Okay.
But the town was changing.
Sure.
People were scared of, well, what about these people here and what they're up to? And, I heard there was a drug bust. Well, now there's one every day, so we don't have to worry about it. But,
yeah, I understand.
People were scared, and rather than trusting, we got defensive.
Yeah. And 10 or 15 years ago, okay, maybe not, but we're not defined by our past.
No.
As individuals, as a church, we're not defined by our past. I told someone today who said something like, well, I should have been doing that all along. I said, okay, maybe, but you're doing it now. You're doing the right thing now.
Yes.
Then that's okay. You're not defined by your past. God's moving you along.
Yeah.
So, you're right. This is a very accepting church now, and the church is growing as a result.
The church is, yes. And
as a result of it, because God is not going to send his people who are longing to know him to a church where they're going to be judged and
right.
ridiculed and looked at. He's going to send them somewhere else where they're going to be loved and accepted. If you saw my testimony, I went to a church that loved and accepted me, and I needed
right.
that, or I wouldn't have been going back.
You wouldn't have gone back, right.
So God sent me to the right church.
To the right church.
And he's going to bring people to this church
because of that.
Because of the loving and acceptance.
Yeah.
So we need to keep up with that.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Yes, we do. And like I said earlier, we just need to love everybody. And
so, did you grow up? When you were born, your parents take you to Brooks Run or West
yes,
Bel Air?
Yes. We lived. Well, yeah. It was called West Bel Air then.
Yeah,
it's now Brooks Run. Same building, just different name.
Yeah.
My kids have never got over that, but
yeah. Well, I hear people call it West Bel Air now.
I grew up right down the road from the church.
Oh, okay.
So it was the community church.
Okay.
My mother went to church. My mother never missed a Sunday.
Wow.
My dad, not so much.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a godly man and great example of, a dad and a husband and all that.
Yeah.
But he went to church on Christmas and Easter, and if, one of the kids was doing something, if we were singing in a choir or something, he would be there. But he didn't go every Sunday. He usually stayed home and made dinner. And then we would get done church and go home and eat. And there really was, there's never been a time in my life that I remember not going to church.
Okay.
Because, well, as long as I lived at home, my mother drug me by my ear. even sometimes when I might have rolled in at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And
you want to talk about that? Or
the punishment was, Jimmy, it's time for church. Well, I'm really tired. Yeah, it's time for church.
So my question was going to be, how did they take it when you decided you were going to come here? How did the people feel about that?
I'm not sure. I don't think there was a big deal, but
okay.
but it was it was a big deal, but it wasn't big. At that particular time at Brooks Run, and you know what Brooks Run is like. I mean, you've got a couple people who do all the jobs.
Absolutely, it's like that everywhere.
Well,
in every church.
Well, yeah, but you've heard me talk about Dave Mills.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I always joke, but between Dave and I, we had all the jobs at the church.
Okay.
I always said I got all the administrative jobs. I was the chairman of the board and the chairman of the trustees.
Okay.
And Dave was the lay leader and the lay speaker, and he got all the jobs that actually involve some spiritual something, and I got all the other ones.
You got the other ones, yeah.
Always, it just worked out that way.
You got the stick then, didn't you?
Just kind of worked out that way, but we had all the jobs.
Okay.
I was a youth. We had a small youth group.
Mm-hmm.
I was a youth pastor, and then Dave and his wife actually started a younger group, like younger than MYF, back when that existed.
Yeah.
And they yaks, I think they were, because all our kids were all not old enough to be in MYF.
Okay.
Their older daughter Allison was in MYF with me, and then a few other people would come and go, but there wasn't a lot. But but we just had all the jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really getting frustrated with having all the jobs. Not that I didn't want to, but like people would pass me notes during the sermon that the toilet in the women's room was clogged, or they just,
yeah,
just things like that. And I felt like this isn't what it should be.
Right now, there's somebody watching us saying, "Preach it, brother. I know what you're talking about."
Yeah, probably somebody saying, "Oh, I passed that note."
Probably.
But so when we came in here, Dave and Lynn also came in here.
Okay.
So it was like a complete turnover in leadership of the church.
Yeah.
But it was actually good for the church. I think the church has done better.
Yeah.
And there were some other things that the pastor at the church at that time, really, really bright, really well read in Old Testament history and those sort of things. But he was definitely I got a chest cold. Well, what sin did you commit?
Oh my gosh.
Well, and like anytime someone would tell him anything, well, what's going on in their life that maybe needs to be cleaned up? Because he really believed that, and I'm not saying sometimes that doesn't happen when you're doing the wrong things.
It does.
Sometimes that causes physical problems.
Sure.
But it's not always.
No.
We live in a fallen world where problems come and go.
Right.
And
absolutely.
And fortunately, and when we first left there and we came in here, and I was really glad that I was here because nobody really, I knew a lot of the people. They were my friends, but I wasn't going to be on every committee and I wasn't going to be all that because I could just come sit in church and worship and have a good Sunday, and not be into all the workings of the church and what was going on. But I still felt a little bad about leaving West Belair. And then Dave and Lynn's daughter Allison got sick.
Yeah.
And the last thing they would have needed at that time was a pastor asking him what. And I am sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that is why, Now, I could tell you I came here because my daughter said, let's go in there because they've got a bigger youth group.
Sure.
And I don't really want you to be my youth group leader.
Yeah.
Or there were other reasons and
yeah. Well, I was just going to say, sometimes we forget that God is constantly working. And I was going to say that, for whatever reason it may be, and I think you got a good reason now because of Allison, God may have had you come here for that reason or other reasons, and you certainly have been a very influential part of this church. You and Mary Catherine as well.
Mary Catherine, yes.
And I know Dave was. I didn't get a chance to be here when he was here, but so God, He makes these things happen, but at the same time, that church is doing just fine.
That church is doing just fine. Yes,
yeah,
they didn't miss me one bit.
Yeah, I don't mean
the only one that was upset about it was my mother.
Okay, well, sure, I can understand that.
Yes,
but
even she was okay with it. So I'm thinking she was, she understood.
Yeah.
It wasn't her favorite thing, but she understood.
So when God does that, takes me and puts me over there and brings Ian in, He's got a plan.
He's got a plan. Yeah,
and I think we're seeing that now. Starting to see, and we're going to see more of it.
Sometimes we dig our heels in and try to stop God's plan, but it's going to happen.
You're right.
It's going to happen.
That's right. I don't think there's not a person alive or has ever lived who ever stopped God's plan.
No.
From going forward. No. And it will never happen.
You may be able to stop some of the blessings that would come your way.
Oh, absolutely.
If you resist enough.
Yes.
But you won't stop His plan.
No.
It just might not involve you.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. Jesus said, if you don't praise me, even the rocks will cry out. So
yes.
God will be worshipped. God will be glorified. God will get His will done.
Yes, He will.
And if we're part of it, then we get to be a part of the blessings too. And I know that coming here and meeting everybody here for me was a tremendous blessing, and coming back was too. Was there any talk about that? Do you know about, because that's unusual.
It's very unusual.
It's very unusual.
That was the only conversation that I heard was like, you mean he's just going to come back and be a member here?
Yeah.
Like we're going to get 2 pastors? We don't have to pay one of them?
That's right. I'm getting paid. Trust
yes,
me.
yes.
I'm getting paid in blessings abundantly from
yes.
God. I mean, be able to do this and to still be with the people that I was serving, it's.
And hopefully you're not wearing yourself out quite as much. That's
the wonderful thing. I mean, people would always ask me,
I worried about you a lot.
A lot of people did. They always asked, how did you do it? I don't know, I just did it.
Yeah.
But now that I'm not doing it, I ask myself, how did I do that? Well, it was God.
Yeah.
But I have so much freedom now in what I'm doing that it's tremendous. So I'm very thankful for how it all worked out and how God brought us together and brought the churches together and brought Ian here, and it's just been tremendous and really excited to see where it's going.
It is amazing when we just get out of the way, and but like you asked me earlier before we started, was there a significant? And I said just my whole life.
Yeah.
I do feel like I have just been blessed so much throughout my life.
Yeah, I can remember.
And I know Ian spoke the other day about reaching crossroads and listening to God. Mm-hmm. Well, my usual thing to do is to say, God, I really need, which way do we go here? Mm-hmm. And then he'll say, go to the right. So I wander about a half mile down the left until he shows me that it's completely wrong. Right. But he's always blessed me to stop me.
Yeah. Before you get too far.
Before I get too far.
Ah, yeah.
Don't let me get. I ease into things anyway. I'm not a real, jump into stuff, but he's always stopped me, got me back.
That's great.
In the right way before it got too far. So
that is great. Well, Jim, we're about out of time.
Oh, all right. That went fast.
It does go fast. It
was a joy. It was joy talking to you.
I really enjoyed talking to you too. So thank you for joining me tonight. And if you want to be a part of Testimony Tuesday, not any real elaborate testimony from Jim. We just talked. Talked about the church.
He makes it easy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But if you want to come on the show and just talk, or if you got something you want to share, please let me know. I'm always looking for people. I am working on doing a Skype Testimony Tuesday as well. Part of the reason is I got a friend in Canada that I'd like to talk to. But that way, if someone doesn't want to come in, they want to sit in their home and they got Skype, we can still talk. Oh. I won't have a green chair for them, but
the chairs are pretty nice.
I'm going to be sitting in the green chair on Testimony Tuesday. But anyway, if you want to see that, then, if you want to be a part of that, come and let me know, and we'll get you on the show. All right. Thanks again, Jim, and thank all of you for watching tonight, and we'll see you again when we meet at the table.
I can tell you all the people that didn't want you as pastor.
Oh, really?
No.